It is always a pleasure to note that they are dedicated people like yourself, seeking peace and harmony among the nations, states, and people in general. From what I have learned and read about your work, I am certainly of the belief that you are on the right path. Thank you for spreading a ray of hope in these difficult days, which are full of despair, hopelessness, and the ever-increasing march of nationalism, discrimination, and religious exclusion. I wish I could say the same about most of our politicians and media who thrive on conflict, negativity, and lack of spirituality. Let me also thank you for another important issue which you brought, that is the theme of your seminar, of this meeting, the role of spirituality in a modern society. Since 10 December, in 2 days' time, we have United Nations Day of Human Rights. And I have taken the liberty to add 2 more words to your topic, and that is interreligious cooperation and human rights. Because I don't use the word dialogue. I am sick and tired of dialogue because we're always dialoguing, but we never move forward. And so one of my requests would be, let's move forward from dialogue to cooperation, because that's what is needed today. There is a faith, then we have organized religion, and we have spirituality. And I believe that there's a world of difference between a faith, an organized religion, and spirituality, because people often confuse these 3 terminologies. As far as the present society, being modern, is concerned, it may be advanced in technology. They may have excelled in materialism, and of course focus on individualism, but I can assure you that this so-called modern society is very backward when it comes to human relations. Faith, to me, is a strong, unshakable belief in something, especially without proof or evidence. It can be related to a person, an idea, or a conviction of the truth of certain religious doctrines. And then we come to organized religion. On the other hand, organized religion, in my opinion, is an institution based on belief system and ritual, which were systematically arranged and formally established. It has an official doctrine, a bureaucratic structure, and rules and regulation to follow. Of course, it is created by human beings to control people and to have power and influence over them. So that is why nowadays there's a very limited room to challenge the organized religion in a very successful manner and introduce some kind of reforms which will be inclusive. And then there's the question of spirituality. To me, spirituality is a search to know our own self, real self, to discover the true nature of consciousness and attain personal fulfillment. In short, it is the search for oneself which frees us from fears and gives us contentment. That is why I have chosen the path of not faith, not organized religion, but spirituality, because that has actually freed me and made me the person I am today. But having said that, it is also very important that we do not blame the organized religion or the religion for all of our own faults. We have to keep in mind that with all its shortcomings, past horrendous mistakes, and a lingering bad reputation, I simply do not believe that religion as such is the problem in this world. On the contrary, I see lots of good being done by people of faith and religion. The big bad wolf and true adversary to spirituality is not organized religion, is actually secularism. And those who totally reject the notion that human beings are divine and has an innate need to connect to ourselves as well as to those forces which are higher, which are more intricate, and which are mightier than us. Manipulation for profits and ideological gains by the media and opportunism by political elite in the West and also to some extent in the East for staying in power, that has added a great deal to this prevailing negative perception of organized religion. You have also heard that there are people who say religion is opium for people. I challenge them, those people who say that, they should look one day at a clear sky in a desert and see billions and billions of stars, planets, galaxies, and Milky Ways hurling in a perpetual motion in a very orderly and balanced fashion. They will not help but to feel very, very small, yet part of this great scheme of things called universe. I was in Pakistan a couple of weeks back, and I have tried that in a blue, clear sky. And believe me, even if I'm not religious, I felt that I was part of this big universe. So my spirit at that very moment does not think of a religion or a philosophy or a movement. I just go inside myself and feel overjoyed. I become part of this great scheme of things. And that to me is the essence of spirituality. Now, coming back to the usefulness or drawbacks of religion, let me share with you some of my thoughts as to how religion can be used in a good way, in a bad way, and also in an ugly way. Thus, it is not religion, but us who should be at the center of things. We should take responsibility for our own actions. Now, religions can be used dogmatically by following tradition, blindly. Religion can be used politically to bring an administrative change. It can be used ideologically to compete with other faiths and religion to obtain influence, recruit followers, and exercise power. And of course, it can be used idiotically to start wars, conflicts, and killing people. But there are also good sides to religion. For example, it can be used practically to provide a framework for life for those who prefer boundaries and order in their daily lives. Religion can also be used progressively to create social harmony in the society and advance human dignity and universal rights, both spiritual and otherwise. And of course, religion can be used economically to build a non-exploitatory financial order, because the financial order today we have is in big mess. So we need an order, and there religion can play a good part. And of course, spiritually, to attain a higher state of mind and to be a better human being. And we can also use religion to educate human rights, because that is what we are moving towards. So you see that religion can do both good and evil, depending upon our own intentions, depending on our own greed, and of course, in a good way, depending on the sense of justice we have in our hearts. I am personally a great believer and an active practitioner of human rights, racial equality, ethnic equality, intercultural and interreligious cooperation, and most important of all, respect for and accept of all peaceful ideas, movements, faith, and religions. In the Quran, the holy book of my religion, Islam, God repeatedly reminds us, those of you who do good deeds are closest to me. God does not say those of you who pray most or those of you who give most charity. God says those of you who do good deeds and are good to your fellow human being. So as far as I am aware, the same revelation is present in all religion. So what do we learn from this divine message? And how can we translate this clear dictum into our daily lives? Over the years, I have given this simple yet very profound message a lot of thought. And since I am not a religious person, it will be foolish of me to say that I got a revelation, but it's very close to that. I call it 10 golden rule of spiritual harmony and interfaith cooperation through individual effort. So what are those? They are actually don'ts and do's of an individual person's life. I believe that if we want to be spiritual, if we want to do something good for human rights and for each other, the most important thing is that we have to dismantle our own prejudices. This is the first step on the road to openness. It lightens up of your soul. It frees our spirit to mingle easily with others. But we need to dismantle our own prejudices, which we all have. The second thing is, we must not impose our own rigid opinion on others. This is a tendency among human beings. We say, I know better than you. True path to peace and justice is found through our wanting to know the way others think, others act, and practice their own spirituality. And then, of course, to do that, we need to have creative thinking. We need to have intercultural dialogue and cooperation and conflict resolution skills. And then tuning into these new realities. We are not living in 16th century or 18th century or 4th century. We live in 2012. It means that we have to tune ourselves in the new realities which will enable us to exchange between people instead of pleasant chit-chat, kiss on the cheek, and then next year we meet again. I believe that we need to be very open and honest to each other with respect. That will open the closed door instead of just chit-chat. And understanding the other person, I believe, it entails an exchange of life stories, daily experiences, and finding practical solution to the question we usually don't wish to ask. We try to avoid those questions. And then there is another point which I would like to share with you is that when we generalize people, Muslims do that, and Christians do that, and Jehovah's Witnesses do that, Church of Scientology does that, then we shut the door, we don't open the door. So we must not generalize people. We should treat everybody individually, because when somebody treats me individually, I am much more prone to listen to that person. And then when we enter into a dialogue with a group or a follower of a group, if our starting point is that you're wrong and I'm right, then right becomes wrong and wrong becomes right. So I think it is very important that we should give that respect to others, which we want respect from them. Now, to achieve the goal of peace and mutual respect, we must start with ourselves. Don't expect that others should be good to me. I should be good to that person, and do not expect any rewards. There's a beautiful saying of Prophet Muhammad that if you give with your right hand, your left hand should not know about that. I'm sure other religions also talk about that. What does it say? It says, don't give with intention to get back, but just give because you want to give. And Desmond Tutu, one of the most beautiful human beings God has ever created, he said something very beautiful. He said, God has given us 2 ears, but 1 mouth. What does it mean? It means that we must listen twice and speak half. And in that respect, I think that if we do want respect, it's very important that we practice that respect, that we, like Conrad said to me once, some people say, I would not bother you if you don't bother me. It means that we start with this mantra. I think this mantra should be, even if you bother me, I shall not stoop so low to that level. I will still rise above that. So all in all, I believe that all our efforts have to be selfless, giving, and without expecting rewards. That is the fundament of interfaith and peaceful living. I know it is a tall order. I know that it's very difficult for everybody to give, and give. Sometimes we also need to receive. But it's very important to say, try again, and you will definitely succeed. I want to finish that by quoting a very beautiful quotation from Khalil Gibran, the great Lebanese philosopher. He said once, love is not looking at each other. Love is looking in the same direction. So we all can say amen to that. Thank you very much.